Welcome to the Parody, where we tally up the victims and all your favorite media. I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and today we're looking at the second episode of Murder Drone's Heartbeat, released in 2022. Sorry for the lack of title card, there's just not one in this episode. This episode right here is very confusing. Well, generally not the stuff with Khan, because that's all central to one location. It's mainly the stuff with Uzi and Fad that gets me confused. It's all mainly just a bunch of stuff that is introduced this episode. And there's also Eldritch J, which was rebuilt out of stuff they could find from her body from last episode. This episode was released over a year after the pilot in November 2022, and I say the wait was deserved. It develops the world of the show more, while also still having its funny moments. End's apology looks so silly, I just love it. And the animation somehow got even more impressive from last episode. The biggest introduction here is the Absolute Solver. That being an extremely powerful presence that lives in literally every single drone. What I'm saying is that it's basically what allowed Jay's body to be rebuilt. It can also recreate exact replicas of certain drones. And by exact replicas, I mean only drones that have been killed. Because with Thad, who's alive, it doesn't really work out that well, and you can very clearly see that it's a hologram. That only makes it a tad bit confusing for the count, since I can very easily see everything going on. And because the episode leans more into a horror side, it doesn't really have that much kills. Only a few deaths in this episode are on screen. Most of them are off screen, and you can tell that they're killed due to their exact replicas due to the Absolute Solver. Overall, another good episode for the show. How many people are killed just in a heartbeat? Let's find out and get to the kills. The episode begins with N being the butler for a whole bunch of shadowy figures. Damn, how come no one told me there'd be a manor like this? Also, these are some glitchy boys. He stops running to admire this amazing outside shot of the manor. He runs into someone who looks a bit familiar. How did they only manage to prove N's point even more? When they touch hands, a spark comes in and they accidentally start blushing at each other. Jay has to interrupt though, saying, "No, that's my girlfriend." And would you look at this? That's another shadowy figure along with another drone. However, that's all just in N's head, inside this pile of corpses. Inside the landing pod, Uzi's looking at this thing before she looks into her mirror and wait a minute, whoa, what's going on with her eye there? When V teases Uzi about said symbol, she highlights why she's the best character in the entire show.
Wanna do an autopsy to find out?
Hey, there's at least one person who agrees with me out there. Actually, now that I think about it, it's a lot. When N finds out he was the pilot, angry V before she blows bubbles. N asks if killing all humans is a good idea, which, I mean, they did reprogram their brains to soup and they could be negotiating.
Not like they tried negotiating with my mom.
What comes next is one of the reasons I actually love this show now.
Or we missed the negotiations. The humans programmed us to solve a problem. Where's proof of your backstory? The one where your kind's so conveniently innocent.
N thinks that Jay was getting plans for someone, but Uzi says that's just complicating her murder plans further. We're outside the landing pod and we're now back to where episode 1's fight happened. Even if these two don't appear on screen for long, they still will manage to be charming characters, partly because of the Letterbot 5000 thing. This guy, actually named Frank, is left by the other guy just so he can fix that gaping hole in the ceiling. But elsewhere, he hears some noise. He continues hearing noise until he sees a streak of blood on the ground. Oily blood, which can only mean one thing. He goes and finds the brutal remains of Jay's corpse. Here's a zoomed in robot bug shot. It causes electricity that drops Frank's flashlight. And in no time at all, these walls and Frank himself are covered by something called the Absolute Solver. Whatever this Chloe thing is eventually kills Frank off screen. Almost 5 minutes into the episode, we meet Khan again. Of course, the teacher knows that Uzi's been absent a whole lot lately. Khan says that her behavior's been normal, door-loving, although her teacher would object to that. He presents a montage of her behavior, including not sitting normally, stealing another kid's sentience, and not wanting to pair up with other students, because I mean they are rude to her, so that means it's trash can time. He suggests that Uzi has damaged programming and then asks Khan how she is at home. That is a very tricky question, considering that she's been hanging out with the murder drones. Someone interrupts and says that there's been a certain emergency. Outside, Uzi is sweating, but she feels way better than sweaty because she's literally God! Hi, Thad. I have one recommendation. You might want to give Uzi her sick-as-hell railgun back. Yeah, thank you. Nice effort, dude. And then Thad presents his sick-as-hell names for them.
Of course, M&M's.
Thad thanks Uzi for saving his life and says that the colony isn't necessarily serious about banishment.
The fact I'm too rogue to re-enter society now? I can never return.
The storyboarders must have gone all out on these shots because I love all of this! He mentions Jay's corpse because when he went to go grab Uzi's railgun, he says that it might have crawled away. I love N's reaction to all of this. We teleport over to another place within the colony where that other guy from that scene earlier sees the hologram of Frank, but it looks pretty shitty, dude. You know, I never mentioned it, but this guy's name is actually Tim. I don't know. Although it looks suspicious, he agrees to go stand over there with the holographic Frank. Tim, that's literally so insanely suspicious, man. It works though, and Tim is impaled by something that drags him up into the ventilation shafts, and after a bit, kills him in the bloodiest kill so far. That is seriously a pile of blood. Out at some other gates, Uzi, Thad, and N go up to a door. Firstly, he greets Thad, asks if Uzi was grounded, to which she only now finds out about, and asks about N being there. And about N, he goes up to the door and apologizes to all of them by handing him his own drawings and apologies. And with that, he lets all of them in, including N. He looks so silly here, I can't with this. I slow down this part just so you don't get epilepsy, but also to let you know that there's another murder. These guys are inspecting the crime scene that just happened while Uzi, Thad, and N walk past them. If they say they would have seen these 5 worker drones disappear as holograms, and also guess what? The entire crime scene itself is one. This also means that we can add 5 more worker drones to the count since they were killed off screen. And this woman named Sarah's mug is even a hologram and she gets some blood dropped on her, meaning that she's up next for the count. We could imagine, however, if Uzi, Thad, and N stayed and just saw, you know, this. That would have been scary. Back at the conferences, Con really doesn't do all that much. And the teacher thinks so too, because he's playing solitaire while he's talking. Oh, and these 2 characters over here I haven't even mentioned yet. They're Lizzie and Doll, who were being mean to Uzi last episode. Doll is asked about her family, to which she just has flashbacks to death. And she even says as much, so in Russian. Lizzie doesn't give an absolute shit about that, but then sees a girl outside that she calls gorgeous. Although that is obviously not a real person, since I saw those cameras that go with the holograms, let's just take a moment to support Lizzie's decision in being a lesbian. Like, no one would just think about it for a second and then just proudly say it. Now we're back with Uzi, Thad, and N for pretty much the rest of the episode. Thad finds some stuff on a wall that may have to do what we saw in Uzi's eyes. Like I said at the beginning, this is the absolute solver, whose powers I also stated at the beginning. All I know is that it does have something to do to N's infection last episode that got cured. N makes Uzi shut up when they see what looks to be a hand on the ground. Thing, is that you? It's not, so it grabs Thad's leg, and when they follow the arm, it looks to be a giant worm thing. It starts his attack by flying Thad up in the air again. He avoids the count again to do a ninja star that severs the arm.
I want a freaking ninja star.
Too late, Uzi. And with that, Thad is dragged away again. They go in there and find out he's in the cryosleep section of this place. They find him, however, it's in shitty hologram form. They find out really quick that this hologram is from Jay, and the voice reveals itself pretty quickly, so a ninja star is thrown and Uzi kicks it in order for that to go extinct. And hey look, it's real Thad. Because of this, he just runs away from the entire episode, whoops. They squeal for a second until they remember there's a much bigger entity. They've been murdering to rebuild Jay's body and all they need is her head. It's also here that we finally see Nora Dorman, Uzi's mother, so I'll add her to the count. It's not working on Uzi, so Jay pulls out her eldritch head and threatens to kill some worker drones. She kills one of them by ripping off his head with her bare hands and then tossing his body to his side. The other worker is nommed into it in another bloody affair. Very quickly, some explosions pop in from N. Even more pop until Uzi hands N her railgun, which was a big mistake. That was a hologram. Uzi takes some pretty brutal blows and is almost killed by the Eldritch J before Aang comes in with his chainsaw hands. The railgun turns red, some more chainsaw stuff happens, and they need to get the fuck out of here. Because, you guessed it, the railgun explodes. Everything there disappears and one of the cameras turns into a black orb? The bug that caused this is still well and tries sneaking up on them before it's stabbed multiple times by Aang's tail. And that too turns into another black orb. Uzi doesn't even know what to believe is real and what is not at this point, so Aang just walks away. Khan and friends go in there just to see Uzi with her head down and walking towards him. And in a turn of events, she hugs him. He also looks at Aang. Back at school, Doll's sitting on the table alone and flashing back to the time Lizzie saw that gorgeous girl. Like a 30-year-old in rec room, she cancels the gayness. The bug, who's absolutely solved all of its problems at this point, just explodes. It's revealed that Doll was looking at a picture of V, who, speaking of which, is criticizing Aang harshly for his personality. I mean, she was stuck in chains the entire episode. The episode ultimately ends with Uzi looking up at all of her theories on the ceiling. How many people died because of another huge oversight at the hands of someone? Let's find out and get to the numbers. I'm totally not a hologram. Don't forget me. Alright. Got that? Good. I counted 15 deaths, or whatever it was, in Heartbeat. The victims consisted of 10 men and 5 women, giving us this 2-to-1 ratio of dudes. We've seen this count one time before on the parody with zombies, which we covered last year. With a run time of 17 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 1.13 minutes. I'm honestly giving Amethyst Flamethrower to Frank, mostly just because I love the Ladderbot 5000 thing. As for Broken Pistol, I'm giving it to the 5 worker drones who were just revealed as holograms in the crime scene. I want to know how they died! And that's it. Murder Drones Episode 2 Heartbeat was originally premiered a few days before the wide release on YouTube on November 18th, 2022. This started off the first wave of Murder Drones content, which is pretty similar to how Glitch usually releases all of her other shows. Until next time, I'm Disassembly Drone Jenny, and this has been the parody. Thanks a lot for watching this parody. I'm going to tell you the release dates for the next 3 episodes right now. Episode 3 will either come out August 11th or 12th. 4 either August 14th or 15th, and 5 will definitely be coming out August 17th. I can't necessarily promise these episodes will actually come out those days, but if they do, I hope you will have a good time with them. And if you had a good time with this one, well, thanks for watching.